for more information or call 402-359-2546.
Vershawn Jackson for Brandt Excavating. Brandt's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brandt is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brandt Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrandtExcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brandt Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go big brand.
If you want all the latest technologies from those big banks, but you also want that hometown feel when you walk in the front doors, choose Midwest Bank. They have top-notch technology. They make banking so easy, and they also have the friendliest staff who will take their time to get to know you and treat you like family. You get the best of both worlds when you choose Midwest Bank. I live on the go, and now I can bank on the go. With Midwest Bank, I have everything I need at my fingertips. I'm volleyball player Allie Batenhorst, and at Midwest Bank, you'll love banking here.
Our Remington Homes has really expanded and taken off in the last 5 years.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders talking about their exciting new division, Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
The exciting thing about a Remington home is you get to choose your floor plan from predetermined floor plans. You can select your options. We give you a lot of choices. By selecting certain floor plans, they're just easier to build. And you couple that with our great lot selection in all different areas. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
This is Adam Carriker on the ticket.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker. The Missouri 29.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and he's
on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. It is Monday. It is noon to 1. That, you know what that means. Fastest hour in radio each and every week here on 93.7 The Ticket. I was about to say in Lincoln, but it's on YouTube. It's on TV now. Okay, The Ticket is. So each and every Monday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Come grab your lunch. Come join with me. Pretty soon, I'll be doing some game reactions. Husker football season's getting close. All right, that Minnesota game's on a Thursday night. I'll probably be starting my Friday shows the very next day. DP and I are going to chat right after this and get that figured out. But when Husker games move to Saturday each and every Monday, I'll be doing my game breakdown. So hopefully at some point during that fastest hour in radio each and every week, something un poquito inteligente comes out of my mouth at some point. That's the extent of my Spanish that I took for 2 years in high school. Also, me llamo Adam. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. There we go. I have maxed out my Spanish knowledge, although it did kind of sound intelligent, I hoped. Maybe it made sense. Maybe it didn't. But here's our fine program today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Miles Farmer, he's headed to the Q, Syracuse, going to join Travis Fisher, his former defensive backs coach. Now, all right, he left the team a little bit ago, but how does this specifically, because sometimes guys enter the portal and come back, how does this specifically affect the defense now, the 3-3-5, the defensive backfield, that whole back seven, or however you look at that back eight with the 3-3-5 defense and that alignment, because it varies all over the place. All right, also Xavier Betts, all right, officially no longer with the team for the second time in a year and a half. How does that affect the offense? My thoughts on his heart not being in it, things of that nature. I've seen other people, their heart wasn't in it. This isn't the only time this has happened. Honestly, when I've seen it in the past, it just kind of flew under the radar. This one was a lot more publicized, at least when I played. Okay, we've got Tony Veland, two-time national champ, Super Bowl champ, all Big 8 performer, all right, a team captain in the 90s. He's going to be joining me at 12:30 p.m. Central Time today. Normally, former Husker, Josh Davis and myself put on a camp for kids in the area where we live. Now, that camp was still put on this past summer, but Tony stood us up. Now's my chance to call him out and see what the heck that was about. All right, so it's going to be a great show, going to be a lot of fun. Also, before we light this candle, dive into it and talk some Husker football. We're 24 hours away, less than 24 hours. CarrikerChronicles.com launches tomorrow, August 15th. All right, tomorrow, August 15th, CarrikerChronicles.com. Corn Craze, Connor Hayden, Rob Zadiska, Doc Talk. We just added them to the website last week. That will go live tomorrow. Ashley Spitznagel's art. John Johnston, who is definitely not boring, highly entertaining of Corn Nation. We got a Where Are They Now section. We've got highlight tapes. We're going to have highlight tapes after games that go up the next day on Sundays, eventually as well, Friday after the Minnesota game on that first Thursday night game. I can't even remember everything. We got merchandise. We've got all sorts of stuff. All right, go check it out tomorrow. All right, before we do that, before we light this candle, dive into the show officially, I want to give a shout out to GE Landscape and Supply. You're probably driven by them countless times, likely without even knowing. At 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money. Buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. I almost forgot the People's segment. We're going to end the show, all right, with the People's segment today. As always, send me your questions, comments, concerns. Am I right? Am I crazy? Am I somewhere in the middle? Let me know. 402-464-5685. Possibly my favorite segment each and every week. It's kind of like my kids. I ask them what their favorite sport is. It's whatever sport they're currently playing. So usually my favorite segment is whatever segment is going on live. But I always look forward to the People's segment because I legit have no idea what's going to be thrown my way. And I love that unpredictability. That's the last 10 minutes of this show. 402-464-5685. Call or text your questions, comments, concerns, and or thoughts. Now, let's start first. All right, Miles Farmer, again, it's not new news that he's not on the Huskers. All right, but now he's officially going to the Syracuse. All right, joining his former Nebraska defensive backs coach, Travis Fisher. Now, this is the safety who finished second in the team in tackles last season and was a main cause for excitement in the secondary, okay, before he entered the portal. Now, one of the questions I've gotten recently is, does this diminish my excitement, okay, in the third level of the defense, or does the depth help with that loss? Now, I just did an interview with Tony White last week. If you missed it, check it out on YouTube. Towards the end of that interview, I'm like, Coach, give me some guys who have stood out this offseason or under the radar guys. This was not a short list. I mean, my goodness, I had to go back and because we tried to get pictures of each and every single one of these guys so we could put them up in the video so people could put a face with a name. This was a lengthy list. It was about a dozen people. And I don't think he was trying to be overly kind or generous because he came up with these names, boom, 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 boom. If you listen to the interview, he just rattles them right off the top of his head. He wasn't like he was having to search and think and try to find names. A lot of them were secondary guys. Okay, Malcolm Hartzog, he sang his praises, said he's been doing some big things. It still boggles my mind that through 5 games last year, this guy hadn't even hardly played, if at all. And then all of a sudden, he's like one of the main guys going into this season. So Malcolm Hartzog. All right, Marquise Buford was named. Omar Brown is a guy that coach brought up, said has looked very well. Quentin Newsom. You've heard a lot this offseason about Isaac Gifford. People love the way that he is playing. And I think he has found his role, his niche in this 3-3-5 defense. The dude's just a football player anyways, if you go back and watch some of his film from last year. All right, Chief Borders, highly athletic. Jamari Butler, a guy who stood out to me a couple of years ago, then disappeared a little bit last year. But if you watch his athleticism, his ability to get after the quarterback when he does so, that first step explosiveness, he's got a lot of potential. He's got that first step, get off the ball, explosiveness. And that was a name that Coach White brought up. MJ Sherman. Okay, now a lot of these guys are transfers. I shouldn't say a lot, but some of these guys are transfers from this offseason, from Georgia, Florida. And a lot of these guys possess a lot of athleticism, which obviously is what you're looking for in this 3-3-5. Mobile, attacking, okay, hopefully confusing, so you can kind of come from all over the place with these blitzes type of defense. And they fit in very well physically. And Coach White obviously thinks they're doing a good job so far through camp. You look at some of the linebackers, I'm going to shock you with these names. Luke Reimer, Nick Henrich. Oh, shocker. Who would have thought that? Those are actually the first two names he gave me, but I started with the secondary, more with my list, so to speak. And I know there's rover positions or all sorts of different flexible type positions in this 3-3-5 defense. Now, here are some of the other guys that he named as well. Okay, Prince Will, John Bullock. All right, now, and some other guys, and I'll get to the defensive line in a minute. Kind of save them for the end. You got Blaze Gunnerson. I know he's kind of flexible as well, but Nash Hutmaker, we don't have a lot of experience on that D-line. That's one question I asked him, and he addressed it. Ty Robinson's really the only guy with much experience at all. Okay, Nash Hutmaker probably has the next most. All right, and he spoke Nash's praises highly. A young guy, a guy who's very strong, if you know anything about him, a guy who works his butt off and plays with a physical mindset. Young, growing, developing, high ceiling potential, future down the road. Now, back to the original question, which I have not yet answered. All right, does this, talking about Miles Farmer, officially not returning to the program, heading to the Cuse, Syracuse, good old New York, all right, does this diminish your excitement in the third level of the defense, or does the depth help with that loss? I think the depth helps with that loss. Obviously, we would love to have Miles. He's a talented guy. He's a guy who's played a lot for us, made a lot of plays for us, was only going to get better. But I think I spoke on this last week on this program. Matt Rule is prioritizing, setting an actual culture, not just talking about it and pretending to do it, but actually doing it. It's a culture of being disciplined, of being accountable. Our best running back from last year was suspended at the beginning of spring ball. Obviously, that was a while ago, but he was setting a tone right off the bat with their very first practices ever under Matt Rule. Okay. We no longer have a tight ends coach that is with us. Okay. We don't need to go off into the weeds about that. That's been chatted about. Miles Farmer. Okay. And obviously, Miles was suspended, and that most of us assume kind of led to the transfer portal thing and things of that nature. One thing was posed to me, if a player is suspended, should that carry over if he's transferred to someone else? My answer to that, and this was a social media question, would be if it's from college football, like the NCAA as a whole or whatever the case may be, yes. If it's an in-team suspension, I don't think so because you've changed teams. But again, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on that. My point is this does not diminish my excitement for this secondary because of the depth, because of the talent, because of the potential effectiveness that they could have this season. Okay. So I actually get more excited, and to repeat, I'd love to have Miles here, but I get more excited about the tone, the culture, the discipline, the accountability that is being set by the man up top. It's not just lip service, okay? People's actions speak so loudly for me that I can't hear anything they say, okay? When someone says something to me, if their actions don't follow it up, all I can see is their actions because I can't hear anything they say if their actions don't match their words. And right now, so far, Coach Rule's words and his actions are matching up. And that gets me more excited than any one or two or three particular players or coaches or whatever the case may be. Now, you start to look a little bit at the rest of the defense, just real quick. I've pretty much gone through the back end levels, the back 7 or 8, however you want to look at it in the 3-3-5. You look at the defensive line. We do need some guys to step up. Ty Robinson is a guy who has played well. He's played better each year he's been here. We need him this year, frankly, to be an all-conference type performer because we don't have a ton of experience on the D-line. We certainly don't have a lot of depth, at least not at this moment in time. I always look forward to guys stepping up. I always look forward to guys surprising me. That excites me more than just about anything. I love that. But at this moment in time, he's the one guy we can look at and say, hey, we know you can be a baller for us this year. Now, we think Nash Hutmaker can. We think some of these other guys can, but he's the one guy we know can. He needs to be an all-conference type performer for us at some sort of level. He's got to be a stalwart because he's got that type of ability, potential, physical tools he possesses, and experience. Hopefully Nash can step up, probably in that nose guard position, okay, or somewhere along the defensive line, and some other guys can step up and offer some depth as well. This is not a full defensive line segment. This is more topical. Maybe I'll dive into the defensive line more in depth next week or a couple shows into the future before Minnesota because we're going to have to stop the run against that Minnesota offense as that game gets closer. I know to this point I've talked more about Colorado than I have Minnesota. But let's be real. I'm not a player. I'm not a coach. I don't have to look at the next game in front of me. I can do whatever I want at this point. I'm not getting on the field, and I'm not calling plays, and I'm not making tackles. So, but I am going to focus more on Minnesota the next couple of weeks, and then obviously that Colorado game where I heard a rumor that Deion Sanders has maybe banned red from the building again. I don't know that it's been confirmed. What I do know has been confirmed is he does not like red being worn in the building. I know that. I don't know if it's officially been confirmed that he's banned it. But I look forward to that game as well. But we're going to focus on Minnesota at least for a little bit these next couple of weeks for obvious reasons. I'll tell you what, if we could get a win that first game, that would be huge because Minnesota walks in with such an advantage. They really do. I mean, you have a coach who's been there for years versus a coach who's in his first game, a coach who's really having to rebuild a program versus a program that's honestly had pretty good success for a while under PJ Fleck, whether you like his antics or not. You got to give him respect. And in fact, next week, maybe I'll do a segment, not just on, because eventually I'll do a prediction show on Minnesota, Nebraska, but maybe I'll do a segment on which football program has the brighter future as an overall whole, like not just this year, but like the next 3, 5, 6, 7 years. Let me know. Is that something you'd be interested in me doing? Text, call 402-464-5685. Let me know if that's a segment you fans would enjoy. All right, now you look at Xavier Betts. All right, this is a talented wide receiver. You can see that. A big body that moves well. Very gifted. Leaves the team for the second time in 18 months. All right, now when you look at this, okay, says his heart wasn't in it. And when a guy leaves a team for a second time in 18 months, I think that could just kind of be assumed, but that's the official word, okay? A huge loss for an already thin group in terms of experience. It's late in the game, okay, but is it good on Xavier for realizing this now instead of in season? I think they're more likely to realize it now. Now, you don't do two-a-days anymore like we used to. My first couple years at Nebraska, it was two-a-days every day. Bang, 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 bang. Okay, then I went 2-1, 2-1. 2 practices one day, the next day was one. So it was 2-1, 2-1. And honestly, the first year they did that, they didn't give players days off. When you had 2-a-days every day, you'd go 6 days if the coaches wanted, then you could have, we always had Sunday off. But when we went 2-1, 2-1, they got rid of the day off. We went 24 straight days without a day off. I actually thought that was worse. I was like, oh my Lord. My point is this. The dog days of fall camp are the most difficult part about football, with or without 2-a-days. And I think guys are more likely to discover then if they love football or not, because that's the most difficult part of the entire season, is the dog days of fall camp. There's a reason why Brett Favre for years, I'm not coming back. Oh, it's the last preseason game. Now I'll show up. He missed the worst part of football, which was camp. It's the most difficult part. It's the worst part for a reason. You need to get in football shape. You need to get pounded on, beat on a little bit to build up that callus, that toughness physically, mentally. It's a necessary part of football. That's how I always viewed it. I didn't always enjoy it, but I understood. It was part of the process. And if I love football and I wanted to be as good of a football player as I hoped I could be, it was a necessary evil was how I viewed it. And that's just the way it is. So I think I'm glad he realized it now rather than during the season. But I think the odds are guys whose heart may not be in football, they're more likely to realize it during the most difficult part of the season, which is fall camp. So my reaction to his heart not being in it, football's not for everybody. It just isn't. And that's okay. I've seen some people online call him a quitter. Okay, sure, I guess, whatever. I don't view it that way because I've seen so many guys where their heart isn't in it and they don't make it, or they do make it and they go half speed. Sometimes they get hurt. Because if you ain't going 100%, you're more likely to get hurt, especially if that other guy's going 100%, or they don't reach their potential, or they just kind of go through the motions, and then sometimes that reverberates throughout the locker room, and then you got a locker room that doesn't go 100% all the time because that's how some guys on the team are doing, and then that becomes contagious. So I understand. I wish he was on the team. I wish his heart was in it, but I wish him nothing but the best as well. All right. When you look at the wide receiver position, okay, it's not a position with a lot of proven guys. You look at the spring game, for example. One guy stood out, Billy Kemp. That was it. Okay. When you look at pass catchers as a whole, okay, there was only one other guy who even had more than 2 catches, and that was tight end Nate Borkesher. Okay. I believe he had 3. I have to go back and look it up. But Eric Gilbert right now, you can't count on him yet. Obviously, ridiculously physically talented, but you can't count on him yet. High hopes for Thomas Fedoni. Again, a guy who's got to prove himself. So there's other guys with high hopes. We have high hopes for them. Marcus Washington, Malachi Coleman. He's a true freshman. Keep that in mind. Okay. I thought Isaiah Garcia Castaneda flashed at times last year. You could argue both ways. Okay. He was not consistent throughout the season, but just at times he would flash and then he wouldn't. And then he would do the opposite sometimes. But I believe that talent and ability is there. Okay. So for me, as from a talent depth standpoint, I actually think Xavier hurts us more than Miles does as far as not being on the team. But it's kind of one of those things. We're going to have to run the ball this year. We just are. Even if Xavier was on the team, he was still unproven. His talent was there, but he hadn't done anything consistently in any way, shape, or form. We all had high hopes for him. Let's be honest. We're going to have to run the ball. I'm going to be objective as I can with this. So bear with me. Our quarterback, Jeff Sims, is a physical phenom. Did anybody else see the picture of the single digits that were handed out, the single digit uniforms? I think there were 4 guys at first. And Jeff standing next to everyone else. He was standing next to a linebacker who shall remain unnamed. He kind of towered over him, one of our better linebackers. And it's not an indictment on the linebacker. That's a compliment to Jeff Sims and being a physical phenom and his size and speed and ability. Now, here's where being real comes in. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. Now he's a young quarterback. He's got a couple years of eligibility left now that he's an upperclassman. He's talented but unproven as being a consistent passer just yet. All rooting for him. And he's thrown to unproven pass catchers as an overall whole. We're going to have to run the ball. It's that simple. And hopefully as the year progresses and the offense comes quicker, faster, easier to these guys as they get used to repping it over and over and over and they learn the coaches, they learn the expectations. This is what year 1 is and under a new coach. We all know that. Until then, we're going to have to run the ball first. And hopefully the pass game comes along. And hopefully the play action pass game. And hopefully we can protect the quarterback comes along. Now, luckily, we do have a big O-line. We do. If you look at them, they're big. Hopefully, vastly improved under second-year offensive line coach Donovan Raiola. Plus the addition of center transfer Ben Scott from Arizona State. The return of Nardine Newilly, who was our best guard a couple years ago. And I know Teddy's been banged up. Hopefully he's ready to go game 1, 100%. 100%. Okay, and he can be himself. Okay, because with those guys at 100% playing at the highest level, hopefully other guys can step up. Highly touted guys like Bryce Benhart, Turner Corcoran, who've got a lot of experience at this point. Ethan Piper, I've heard good things about him throughout camp. Hopefully 2 of these 3 guys can step up. It'd be nice if more than 2, so we had some depth. Okay. And Jeff Sims obviously can absolutely run the ball. So if we can move people with the O-line, second-year offensive line coach, couple of good additions to the offensive line, couple of guys coming back who may have been 2 of our best O-linemen a year ago had they been able to play. Hopefully 2 of the returning guys who have experience for us, guys I've already named, are better now that they've got years under their belt. Plus, you look at, we got 3 talented running backs. They could all be starters at other schools. Gabe Irvin, I'm going to point it out again. First running back, think about this, in Nebraska football history to start his first game ever as a true freshman. Never been done before him. Obviously, he was hurt, but now he's back healthy. Anthony Grant, number 1 junior college running back in the country, our best running back a year ago statistically, if you look at it anyways. And then you've got speed demon Ramir Johnson. And when he got his chance to start a game or 2 a couple of years ago, he showed what he could do. We're going to find out quickly if Rule bringing Donovan Raiola back on the offensive line was the right call. Okay. We are going to have to run the ball first, just with what we have right now. And that's okay. We have talented wide receivers. We've got guys with ability, potential, talent. We just need a couple of them to step up. And more than a couple would be obviously phenomenal, but at least a couple. All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I will be right back with a former Blackshear great Husker legend, Mr. Tony Veland. Don't go anywhere.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Arnold's Tavern in Havelock is the place to be this summer and the best place in town for shuffleboard. Come on Wednesdays and learn from some of the best players in town for the Shuffleboard Corner. Come on Sundays for Open House League all day starting at 11 a.m. and enjoy $3 tall boys and $3 wells. Shake off the start to the work week with karaoke on Monday nights. And don't forget, happy hour is every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and you are always welcome to bring in your own food. Arnold's Tavern in the heart of Havelock.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted out the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Terex and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried and true mule or looking to dominate adventure in a Terex, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved purchases of select new unregistered Kawasaki vehicles. Model and year exclusions apply. Cannot be combined with promotional retail financing rates.
Allo is here to give you the FYI. Are your shows buffering? We know why. Are your games lagging? Don't deny. Are your work calls dropping? Here's the FYI. Your old school internet company can't keep up. They give it a try. Their network isn't enough. Don't get trapped in their gimmicks and lies. It's time to fiber your internet with Allo. Honest, local, and hassle-free is what we stand by. Experience Allo Internet. Visit allofiber.com/FYI.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Smoked meats, amazing sides. The only problem when they fix you a plate is that at some point, that plate will be empty. But hear me out. What if that plate was never empty? That dream can be your reality with the Mary Ellen's Express Lunch Buffet. From 11 to 2 every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. One price, all you can eat, and it even comes with a drink. Tell your boss you're taking a long lunch and get down there. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake. Let them fix you a plate.
What would you tell a friend who was on the fence about going to Limitless Mail?
I would tell them to go to Limitless today. Don't hesitate. You're going to second guess yourself on if it's the right decision. The staff there is amazing. The treatments work. I'm living proof that it can completely change your life for the better.
Join thousands of men who have changed their lives with testosterone treatment. Slow down the aging process and live life. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmail.com.
Walters Painting Incorporated salutes our Vietnam veterans this summer season. Our Vietnam veterans fought in a difficult, complex war. Please offer the long overdue respect they deserve. The staff at Walters Painting Incorporated is your interior, exterior, commercial, and residential paint. He doesn't cut corners, he paints them. To book an estimate, visit walterspainting.com or call 402-730-1781. The staff at Walters Painting Incorporated honor our Vietnam veterans.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one. all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa,
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Now, real quick, I want to give a shout out to GE Landscape and Supply. Check them out at gelandscapesupply.com. Also, call them at 402-467-1627. Also, let me know your thoughts of anything I've spoken about so far. Let me know if you agree, disagree, whatever the case may be. Also, I'm going to bring on Tony Veland. CarrikerChronicles.com launches tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier in the show. And if you've missed any of these 93.7 The Ticket shows that I've done over the past couple of months, they're going to be on the website as well. As this hour goes along, I keep thinking of more and more things that'll be on that website. Now, I have a Husker legend, okay, a friend of mine on the line. But I want to put a button on what I was talking about with our talented running backs room and the ability to run the ball that we should have, and we're going to have, or we're going to move the ball on offense this year. You look at the stats real quick before I bring on Tony Veland. Anthony Grant, remember how well he started the season last year? All right. Anthony Grant started the season rushing for 100-plus yards in 4 of the first 5 games. Here's the crazy part. In the remaining 7 games, he only cracked 100 once. We need to be more consistent throughout the year. Even with that being said, Anthony Grant rushed for 915 yards and 6 touchdowns last year, averaging 4.2 yards per rush. And this isn't even a guy who's projected to be our starter, at least at the moment. We'll see what happens. Game 1, who takes that first snap. But now I want to get to my guest. All right, he is a Super Bowl champion, a 2-time national champion, an all-Big 8 performer, and a former team captain here at the University of Nebraska, a free safety back in his day, Mr. Tony Veland. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, I do have to mention real quick, Tony is joining us on the VIP line brought to you by Aloe Fiber, where we understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Now, Tony, my man, normally you come to Josh Davis and I's youth football camp every year. This year, you know, Super Bowl champ, national champ, you big timed us. Where were you at, man? You didn't show up this year. What happened, dude?
I didn't big time you, man. I went out to see my daughter. My daughter plays professional soccer in high school, and so I love you guys. She's going to trump you guys every single time.
Wow. Now that I know that information, I feel differently about things. I'm glad you chose your daughter over us. That is a very, very obvious, wise choice. So I got a whole bunch of questions for you, so I want to dive into it. I had Baron Miles on last week, okay? And Rob Zadiska, over the years, a former teammate of yours, has come out and said that he believes the 94 Huskers would have beaten the 95 Huskers, okay? Because in his words, the 95 Huskers were the 94 Huskers backups. So when I asked Miles this question last week, he kind of agreed with Dr. Rob. What say you, Mr. Veland? Who would have won, 94 or 95, if we could play this fictitious game out in real life?
Oh, wow. Why y'all put this like that's not cool, man. That is not cool at all. But
that's the whole point.
I'm going with 95, man. I'm going with 95. I mean, you know, some of those younger guys had a little bit more experience. You know, we had the swag of getting that first championship out the way. So just because of the attitude and that confidence, I think we might have got them.
Now, talk to me about where you believe the 95 team ranks all time. So on social media this morning, I responded to someone who came out. So Matt Leinart on Friday came out with his top 5 greatest teams of all time. And then he quote tweeted someone else who came out with their top 10 greatest teams of all time. And I know it's almost a pointless debate, but it's also fun, which is why I like engaging in it. And 1995 Nebraska was number 6 on this list. Okay. And I can read you the list real quick. And obviously, I mean, these are all phenomenal teams. Nobody's debating that. But when you talk about the greatest of all time, it's hard not to put Nebraska from 95, at least in the top 5. So at number 1, they had 2019 LSU. Number 2 was 2004 USC. Okay. After that, they had the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. Then 4th was Texas Longhorns from 2005. The 2022 Georgia Bulldogs, which I got to be honest, I chuckled at a little bit. And then the 95 Huskers. All right. So just having fun here and knowing that you're not completely unbiased, just like me, but we do the best that we can. Where would you put the 95 Huskers on that list?
Oh, shit, man. Shoot.
Speak freely, dude.
Dude, I'm going to put us probably 1 or 2. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. That is just how I feel. There's some great teams on there. I know they got the 2001 Hurricanes on there, which NFL talent, unreal. 2019 LSU, yeah, I get it. But I think when you talk about probably the most dominant from a game-by-game standpoint, I think that was us by far.
So I have quite the lengthy response to this. I really addressed the top 6 teams. I didn't want to address because he put out his top 10. I didn't want to address the top 10 because that would have been a whole novel. So I kind of go through and I talk about each team just a little bit. All right. Now, the 2022 Georgia thing kind of makes me chuckle because they barely beat Missouri by 4. They beat a Ohio State team who was embarrassed at home by Michigan by 1 point. So I said top 15 and not top 5. Okay, you go to 04 USC, probably Pete Carroll's, best all-around team, but I don't know that they beat the 05 USC Trojans. 05 USC Trojans just ran into 05 Texas. Now you go to 2019 LSU. I'll tell you what, when you beat 7 top 10 teams and you beat 3 top 5 teams and you got one of the greatest of all time in Joe Burrow, that to me, the debate is 95 Huskers, 2019 LSU. And I'm sure you know some of this stuff about the 95 Huskers. Okay, and I also took exception to the fact that the 71 Huskers were left off this because they beat number 2, 3, and 4 in the country by an average of 20 points all those years ago. But the 95 Huskers, you guys, okay, I'm talking to someone who knows this better than me, beat 4 top 10 teams by an average margin of victory of 31 points. That is crazy. I've got more stats here, but just let it lie there. What are your thoughts on that, Tony?
I'm just saying, say it again for the flows and the cheat sheets. I need to hear that. All right,
man.
I'm just saying, like, I can't debate LSU like that. That 2019 LSU, they did some of the same stuff, but we trounced the top teams. Like,
yes,
we were that better than all those teams. So, in my opinion, that puts us up the best.
I mean, everyone wants to talk about 01 Miami and all the draft picks. I'm going to point to the fact that they beat a 4-loss Vautech team by 2 points. I watched them struggle versus a 4-loss BC team, and it took a late interception to seal it. So I'm going to go by results, not just by talent. I mean, you guys had 27 draft picks on your 95 team as it was. You only trailed for 12 minutes all year, didn't give up a sack the whole year, beat number 2 Florida 62-24. All right, we've ended that debate for eternity, Tony. 95 is the greatest of all time. All right, you ready for the next question?
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it.
Because my next question actually is about Florida. That's that Fiesta Bowl. Because going in, you guys were number 1, they were number 2, but you guys were actually the underdogs. And everyone was talking about Nebraska was too slow, Florida was too fast, the old fun and gun. The whole thing about grass versus turf, I'm sure you remember that because they had played a bunch of games on turf. Nebraska hadn't. That was some sort of huge advantage. And then you guys go in and you whoop the rear end sideways like you did. How were you able to really not just contain, but borderline dominate until the end of the game? A Danny Werfel, future Heisman, Steve Spurrier, fun and gut, spread out, led high-scoring offense the way that you guys did.
Honestly, I think it just came out of toughness, man. I think they weren't used to playing smash mouth football. I think they weren't used to the line and the pressure that we were able to put on people. I think our secondary was undervalued, and so we put pressure on the whole game. And so when you're going back and forth, and from a defensive standpoint, they couldn't stop our offense. From an offensive standpoint, we knew what to expect. We had played teams like that early in the year, so we were prepared for it. And so we just, we played the game plan that Coach Osborne came up with, and honestly, it wasn't close. And I'll be honest with you, they played us closer the first quarter and a half because they were running a little bit, and then when they abandoned the run, it was just like, okay, let the dogs loose, and it was over from there.
I'd have to go back to double check. I think it was like 10-0 at the end of the first half, but then I think at halftime, I may not be exact on this. It was like 35-10 or something like that. Like you guys really Just ran away with it. Here's a question I've always wanted to ask, and I don't know why I haven't asked somebody this question before. So here's how I wrote it down. How much respect did you all have for Brooke Behringer in 1995 while he quietly sat and watched from the bench, okay, as Tommy Frazier, okay, basically had what should have been a Heisman season in 1995. But how much respect did you as his teammates have for him during that year, knowing he could make plays in his own right?
I think everybody had the utmost respect for Brooke, man. When it came down to it, that was the epitome of a player of Nebraska, right? You know, you come in and you put the program first. You know, you could have made a stink and become a cancer and be like, hey, I had a great year last year. I should be playing right now. But he didn't do that because he was all about the team, and that's what that team was about. It was about sacrifice. It was about doing the things that was going to, when it's all said and done, allow us to capture that championship, capture that goal. And that's what Brooke was all about. I was so glad to be able to come in with him. I was so glad to be such a good for him to be a good friend of mine, and so that's why he has that statue, in front of the stadium, because of the type of person that he was.
All right, I'm joined currently by Tony Veland on the Aloe Fiber VIP line. All right, Tony, 3-3-5 defense. I don't know if you ever played in it, but because you were free safety, all right, where do you think you would have played in the 3-3-5 defense? And what are your thoughts on this new defense the Huskers will be running this year?
Man, I've never played in the 3-3-5, and I can't say that I'm super well versed in it. I don't think I would have played much of a different role than I did originally, where I'm, the deep middle, deep safety, something along those lines. I like the fact that it provides a lot of flexibility, allows us to put more athletes on the field to be able to make plays. I want to say I'm confident going into the Big Ten, but Big Ten plays some smash mouth football. So if we've got those smaller bodies in there, I'm just hoping they can fly around, similar to kind of what we did. Still, making plays, getting around blocks and stuff in the run. So I'm going to believe in what they're doing. I went down to the spring game, and while I didn't see anything that was awesome, I didn't see anything bad either. So I think that's something to build on, considering that they just started that. So I'm hoping that we can make some plays, man. Defense wins championships, so that's the biggest thing that I'm anticipating right now is for our defense to come out and do some things.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And if you listen to what Rule had to say about the scrimmage the Huskers had this past weekend, he said the defense kind of dominated, which gets me excited about the defense, but concerned about the offense because you don't want it to be lopsided. But here's another question I've always wanted to ask someone who played with John Elway, because you won a Super Bowl with the Broncos with Elway as the quarterback. And here's why I've always wanted to ask somebody. So when I was in D.C., Shanahan was the coach, and I heard rumors. Obviously, John was, I assume, the big dog on the team when he was in Denver. Obviously, he had Shannon Sharp, Davis, the running back, Terrell, all those guys, other guys as well, Steve Atwater, but yourself. But I heard rumors that if Elway came in on like a Wednesday and he went into Shanahan's office, he's like, Coach, I'm just not feeling it today. All of a sudden, a padded practice might turn into a walkthrough. And obviously, John was so tenured at this point. It wasn't that he was lazy, because nobody's ever going to question that about him. He just had that kind of pull on the team. But I got to ask you, is there any truth to anything like that in these rumors and innuendos that I've heard over the years?
Well, I mean, I'll say it like this, man. Yeah, he was the big dog. When he didn't feel like doing something, he didn't do it. But that wasn't a situation where, that happened often. You know what I mean? He had earned his stripes. He knew what rest he needed to take and what time he could take off and still be effective during the week. And yeah, there might have been a few times where I think we expected him to, to be out there and his body didn't hold up that particular week, but it never showed in the game. And so, it was all said and done, how it is. Good time to get some perks. And, John got his perks, so I can't complain because he got me a ring.
Yeah, for sure. And and just so folks understand, to be clear, nobody's ever going to question his work ethic. You got to keep in mind at this time, at this point in time, John had played in 3 or 4 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. He was 37, 38 years old, trying to get that second ring. I played with a guy in D.C. named London Fletcher. Okay, he doesn't talk as much as Ray Lewis, but if you compare the stats, he's just as good, if not better. My last year there, he walked around, and he had some foot issues going on. He walked around all week, every week in a boot. He'd go through walkthrough, wouldn't do practice, and then he'd go out in the games, get 12, 15 tackles, and made the Pro Bowl again. So it's different. when you've been in the league for like 15 years plus. So nobody's questioning anybody's work ethic or anything like that. Let's be clear about that. All right. Last question. And this is a plug to a former black shirt buddy of ours, a former Husker great national champ, just like you. Because I have seen at least on Twitter, you've done some stuff with Steve Warren and the Warren Academy. Okay. So talk to me about some of the things that Steve is doing, some of the things you've done with him, and how this has benefited some of the youth and high school football players in Nebraska, Omaha area.
Well, me and Steve started coaching together, what I want to say was back in, I don't know, 04 or 05-ish. He coached one year with the Beef, and I was a defensive coordinator at that particular time. But I also coached with him at Cordia High School. I coached with him at Northwest High School. Helped him with his Dream Foundation and also with Warren Academy. I think when it kind of comes down to it, we've always had just a heart for the kids, heart for athletics, and trying to figure out a way to create more opportunities for the kids within our community. And so when he came up with Warren Academy, it was just about, we've been to the mountain peak as far as football. Now it's time for us to be able to give back to the kids and hopefully allow them to get opportunity to get scholarships or make it to the next level. And so we've been doing that for, I want to say like 10, 11, 12 years. And it's just been amazing because, we've got a lot of kids opportunities that they probably wouldn't have had in the past. There are a number of kids that are on the team right now that have had something to do with our program, whether they were, doing our training or whether they're doing 7-on-7, they're getting some of our teachings and it's kind of paying off. And, when it comes down to it, we want our kids to have the best fan success that they probably can. And so I've been honored to work with him for a number of years. I don't see that stopping anytime soon. And I'm just grateful for the man that he is and grateful for the effect that we're having now.
Well, shout out to you guys. I want to show you guys a little bit of love if you get a chance. If you're an aspiring tackle football player, check out the Warren Academy, also the Dream Foundation. They're doing a lot of great things with that. So I want to thank you and Steve Warren for what you guys are doing. And I want to thank you for your time today, my friend.
Of course, man. Of course. Great to hear from you.
For sure. Don't go anywhere, Husker Nation. We'll be right back with the People segment.
What would you tell a friend who was on the fence about going to Limitless Mail?
I would tell them to go to Limitless today. Don't hesitate. You're going to second guess yourself on if it's the right decision. The staff there is amazing. The treatments work. I'm living proof that it can completely change your life for the better.
Join thousands of men who have changed their lives with testosterone treatment. Slow down the aging process and live life. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmail.com.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Sunday morning. It's quiet. Not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
A lot of businesses say that they're family focused. When tough situations in life arise, the business feels anything but for your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, as they do with customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Are you ready to upgrade your combine? Don't wait. Act now to choose from the widest selection of used combines at Acres Equipment. Acres, Nebraska's leading John Deere combine dealer, is offering 2.9% interest for 60 months on over 100 pre-owned combines. Each combine includes our A-plus uptime program to keep you running flawlessly throughout harvest season. Go to acres.com to view a huge inventory of low-hour, late-model equipment. Find what you like, and we'll deliver to your farm for free. Acres, solutions for every field.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Nutrition Authority invites you to save 35 to 75% off at our back-to-school blowout. We're taking our better-than-internet prices and cutting them even deeper, bringing you the biggest sale of the season. Monday, August 14th through 19th, the back-to-school blowout is on at Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the countdown has begun. The people segment is here. The last 10 minutes of the show. I got a plethora of questions to get to here. So we're going to light this candle real quick. Final quick reminder. CarrikerChronicles.com launches tomorrow. Also, the Big Ten show that I do with my co-host Jeff Turn is on the website. Again, I keep thinking of more stuff because there's a lot of fun stuff on it. Go check it out tomorrow. But let's get to your questions here on the people segment. All right, Garbologist says Ben Scott said himself the nose guards he was facing in the Pac-12 were only 245 pounds. How well will that experience actually translate to the Big Ten? I'm going to have to double check that statement. 245 pounds. I mean, that's a little small for a linebacker, let alone a nose guard. But if that is true, here's what I know. I know what I saw when I've been at practice a couple of times. I know what I saw from film of the spring game after I watched it initially. Now, hopefully our nose guards are pretty good players, but Ben Scott played well in that spring game versus big nose guards, strong nose guards, inexperienced, but he looked good to me in that spring game. He looked like he was maybe a bit of an upgrade from last year. No disrespect to anybody. So I'm not uber concerned about Ben Scott, to be honest with you. All right, Jeff says, Adam, your thought of Jey Uso walking out of SmackDown. Yeah, it's your wrestling bud. That's right. Okay, for those who don't know, I'll give you a quick synopsis. The Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, twins, the Usos. They're in real life. They're real life cousins. The Usos' dad is Rikishi, if you remember him. Their brother is Solo Sikoa, who's also part of the Bloodline. Long story short, Roman Reigns has been a champion for well over 1,000 days. He's setting some records, and their faction, their group, so to speak, was the Bloodline. There's been some friction. Jey Uso and Roman just had a match. Jimmy cost his twin brother the match. Jey Uso got a little bit of revenge when he kicked his brother in the face and then walked out and said he's out of WWE. My thoughts are he'll be back. It's just part of the storyline. One of the best storylines we've had in a long, long time. And it's going to be fun to watch this thing as it starts to wind down. All right, A.A. Ron says, Adam, what's your take on the offense? Coach Rule hasn't really praised the offense as much as the defense, and DiNardo mentioned we aren't where we need to be with receivers. Wow, I feel like I just addressed this in the first part of my show. All right, go back and watch the first, 15 or so minutes. But is our defense that much better, or are we struggling on offense more than we thought? So that's the conundrum. That's why I said when Tony Veland was on the show, I said, I don't want to hear that the defense dominated the offense or the offense dominated the defense, because is the defense dominating because they're really that good? I'd be surprised this early on in a brand new scheme, brand new defense, brand new coaches, players moved all over the place. You got transfers coming. I'd be surprised. What it makes me excited for the defense. Like, hey, we got a potential to be maybe better than we thought year one and all this new stuff. But honestly, it makes me more concerned about the offense. And I talked earlier, the offensive line is not all of a sudden something we can count on. I talked about how we could potentially have our two best offensive linemen back for this year who were both out last year, potentially. And then you add Ben Scott, who I do think will be a good player at center based on the limited things that I've seen from him so far. And then hopefully Bryce Benhart, big guy, highly touted. He's got the experience. No more excuses. Play better or don't. Turner Corcoran, same thing. Ethan Piper, hearing good things. Can we get some guys to step up? Second-year coach Donovan Raiola, he was brought back for a reason. And the last practice that I went to, and it's been a while, he was the most engaging coach there, beyond us just being former teammates who've done Oklahoma drill versus each other in NFL practices. That's just who he is, and that's why his players seem to love him despite the struggles they had last year. And it seems to be the reason that Coach Matt Rule also brought him back, along with some of the things that maybe weren't so great last year on offense, and given him the benefit of the doubt. But this offensive line is not all of a sudden something that we can count on them just yet. No, I see the opportunity for them to be vastly better. And now let's be honest, Matt Rule has stuck up for the offensive line several times this offseason, as he should. Okay, now I don't have to stick up or not stick up for anybody because I'm not the head coach. I can be a little bit more honest with respect and passion. They were bad last year, and they need to be at least average this year, and that would be a gigantic step up. Now, do I think they have the potential to be above average? Yes, but let's just take the step to being average. Okay, and then let's maybe reach some of that potential that some of these guys actually have. So the offense concerns me a great deal because we don't have an O-line we can count on yet. We have a quarterback who's a physical phenom, has a history of a lot of interceptions, and inexperienced pass catchers. And I'm throwing tight ends in there with wide receivers. What we have is a very talented quarterback, 3 really good running backs, the potential to be significantly better on the O-line, 1 receiver that I would count on right now in Billy Kemp, and a whole bunch of other guys who need to step up. So I'm not being Debbie Downer. I'm just being as objective as I can. When the games roll around, I'm going to be drinking the Kool-Aid as much as anybody else. In fact, on the website I keep plugging, there's going to be a Rule-Aid shirt that we're going to be selling. Have fun and buy it. But when the games roll around, I don't know what to expect from the offense because there's so much unknown outside of the running backs and the ability of our quarterback to run. Beyond that, we don't know a lot. So I am more optimistic about the defense than I've been all offseason. But I don't know what to make of it when I hear they basically dominated the scrimmage. Whoa, okay. Are they above average and the offense is below average, so they look like they're dominating? Are they actually a dominant defense, which would really surprise me this early on? Okay, let's try to be fair to the defense. I think they have the potential to be good, and I hope the offense gets better quickly, starting by running the ball effectively up front, which will then bleed into our play-action pass game and our pass game as the season goes along. All right, Todd says, this is a guy who's clearly listened to me in the past. All right, Todd says, without using the word potential, I tend to use that word quite a bit because we always have talent. We always have the potential. The potential is to do something great, but you ain't done nothing yet. Okay, you probably heard that before. So he's not letting me use that word potential. My last minute here on the show. Todd says, without using the word potential, how good is NU this year? They are unpredictable. There. I totally escaped your question there. They're unpredictable because, again, we have talent, but there's a whole lot of new. There's a whole lot of question marks. You know, we could go out and get blown out by Minnesota and then blow out Colorado and nobody would be shocked. We could go out and beat Minnesota and lose to Colorado and I wouldn't be shocked because we don't know what to expect. We don't know what to make of this, which is part of what's exciting. I like our head coach a lot so far. The more I learn, the more I like him. Okay. But that's part of what makes it exciting. It's part of what makes it nauseating and frustrating all at the same time. Welcome to being a Husker football fan. You can't be a bandwagon fan if you're a true Husker fan. You better be on the train game one, because if we start having success, don't try to get on later. I'll tell you that much right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I avoided the word potential, and I used the word unpredictable. So I don't know if I gave you what you wanted, but there's my answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great, phenomenal week. I'll see you right back here next Monday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Until next time, go Big Red, and always remember to throw the ball.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM for 93.7 The Ticket.
Isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Vershawn Jackson for Brandt Excavating. Brandt's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brandt is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brandt Excavating at 402-474